In a video published a few days ago, I discussed how the 6 Republican Supreme Court justices rubber stamped a racially based congressional district gerrymander created by the Republican politicians in the South Carolina state legislature. I will link that video in the More section below. The South Carolina Republicans moved 30,000 black voters from one county out of a competitive House district represented by a white Republican into one previously created by those Republicans that already had a majority of black voters and was represented by a black Congressman, James Clyburn. In effect, the Republicans made the votes of 30,000 blacks meaningless in a congressional race in South Carolina through this gerrymander. As a result of the decisions, and I would call them anti-democracy decisions made by the Republican Supreme Court justices, gerrymandering is now a far more effective method to silence black voting power than anything that existed in the South prior to the passage of the Civil Rights Act in the 1960s. Justice Alito, writing for the Republican supermajority on the Supreme Court, was just fine with this result. I mentioned in that previous video that the Republicans in Tennessee that have a supermajority in the state legislature, both the House and the Senate, recently engaged in the same kind of gerrymandering, which was far more egregious than what the South Carolina Republicans did. In effect, the Tennessee Republicans decided that Tennessee could not have more than one Democrat congressman. The same racially based and political gerrymandering occurred in Tennessee after the 2020 census results and before the 2022 election. After the 2020 census, the Tennessee Republicans, who had the supermajority, as I said, carved up Nashville, which also includes all of Davidson County in Tennessee, into 3 newly formed congressional districts, and then joined each part with heavily Republican rural areas and small towns where the population would generally be 70 to 80% enthusiastic Trump supporters. And I'm going to show you, I'm not set up for graphics, so just bear with me. This is Davidson County and the 3 new districts. This District 7 up here is where most of the black population lives in Nashville, and their votes no longer matter in congressional races after the Republicans redistricted them into this 7 area. These are all rural area and small towns. So they took the black population and joined them with this Trump population, and consequently the blacks no longer. It's a sizable number of black voters, and that's now part of District Number 7. And they might as well stay home rather than vote in a congressional election. So the Republican-dominated state legislature decided that Nashville would no longer be allowed to elect a Democrat. The end result, easily predictable after the gerrymandering, was that the Republican state legislature had in effect enabled 3 far-right Republicans, none of whom even lived in Nashville, to represent parts of Nashville, even though the voters would have chosen a Democrat. As I mentioned previously in other videos, Nashville had been represented by the Democrat moderate Jim Cooper, who won 100% of the vote in Nashville, which was the 5th congressional district in the 2020 election, since the Republicans did not even bother to run a candidate against him. It was what would everybody would classify as a safe Democrat seat. Even though all three Democrat congressional candidates in the three gerrymander districts handily won in Nashville in 2022, the overall results in the 5, 6, and 7 congressional districts that I previously showed on that map, it was not even close, and that was the intended result. While a court case has been filed challenging the Nashville gerrymandering, it is doomed to fail as a result of the South Carolina decision made by the 6 Republican justices, and the black population of Nashville has in effect been disenfranchised by the Republican state legislatures. Two of Nashville's newly elected Trumpster congressional representatives, Mark Green and John Rose, joined in the Supreme Court petition to throw out the certified election results in 4 states won by Biden in 2020. And they requested that the court authorize the Republican-dominated legislatures in those states to select Trump electors. They claim to be protecting democracy by requesting the cancellation of the certified election results in 4 states won by Biden and authorizing the Republican-dominated legislatures in those 4 states to nominate Trump electors. That request is in the Republican prayer for relief. I'm not making this up. All of the incumbent Republican House representatives in Tennessee signed that petition. Trump attempted to achieve the same result by pressuring Vice President Pence to reject the certified election results in those 4 states. Trump was only trying to protect democracy, or his version of it, or his version of a fair result, by canceling the certified election results in those 4 states. If that had been successful, democracy in America would have ended, and that has to be viewed as the desired result, since it would have been the inevitable one. Future Republican presidents would just claim that the election was stolen, and the Republican vice president would just refuse to accept as many state electors won by the Democrat candidate in order to achieve victory for the Republican. No evidence admissible in a court of law would be required to justify the rejection of the certified vote totals. Just say dead people and illegal people voted, or that an Italian satellite changed votes, or the ghost of Hugo Chavez flipped the votes from the Republican to the Democrat. Any claim would be sufficient to cancel the certified election results. Facts do not matter in the Orwellian world that we now live in.